Good day, esteemed viewer. You're right on to the Power Circuit. It is proudly brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to give you updates and scorecards in the Nigerian power sector. I trust you're keeping with safety rules when using electricity to maximize its benefits. I am Amara Agogesi. To begin, let's walk through the headlines. Federal government says it is tackling power infrastructure vandalism, seeks citizen support. Power sector leadership seeks National Assembly's intervention on assets vandalism. Repairs of vandalized 132 kV Ahada-Yenagoa transmission line nears completion, says TCN. TCN delivers 125 MVA transformer at Alausa Transmission Substation in Lagos. And in Abuja, TCN successfully maintains 132 kV Kukwaba transmission substation. Come along with us. Following the aggravated spates of power infrastructure vandalism, the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, has said the federal government of Nigeria is making crucial efforts to tackle vandalism. He also called for an urgent need for citizens to improve their efforts in safeguarding power assets from vandals. The minister stated this at a joint press conference with the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, in Abuja.
In his address at the conference, the minister recalled the incidents of vandalism that has affected the 330 kV Ugwarji to Apir transmission line, which connects the northeast, and the 330 kV Shiroro to Kaduna line that connects the northwest.
This is not the first time we were having a disturbance on that particular transmission line. That is Shiroro, Mando, Kaduna transmission line. We've had the vandalization of this line before, and nobody knew about it because it was fixed back on time. It was restored within 1 or 2 days. But this time around, it was a more serious vandalization, and there was actually security threat to those people that are supposed to go in there and fix it. But I'm happy to let you know that we now have the full support of the National Security Advisor, with the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, and Chief of Air Staff to provide adequate security and ensure that this line is restored within a matter of days. Vandalization of transmission lines in the northern part of Nigeria is not a new thing to us. We are all aware of the notorious line of Damaturu, Kaduna, Maiduguri, that has been vandalized several times. Even after it's fixed, a few days after, it will be vandalized again. So, what we are appealing to every Nigerian, especially our brothers and sisters in northern parts, is to ensure that we all protect these national assets collectively.
Speaking on the government's efforts to tackle vandalism headlong, the minister said there is an urgent need for citizens to improve their efforts in safeguarding power assets from vandals.
But my appeal will also go to our people. We are our own best security. But the vandals live among us. So when we see something, we must say something. We can best protect our own assets, but it affects us. I can imagine the number of losses businesses have recorded in the north in these past few days of blackouts.
The minister also stated the actions being taken to improve power supply in the north and across other regions of the country.
Relying on hydro and gas-fired plants, fine, they still form base load energy, but the north that we're talking about has the advantage of the sunlight, the sunshine. The minimum number of hours you have in any state in the north is between 10 and 12 hours of highly effective sun ray. So we believe that we can start exploring having embedded solar utility scale power generation in the north. And we already have investors that have expressed their interest in establishing a minimum of 100 megawatts in each of the 19 or 20 northern states.
In his briefing, the Managing Director and CEO of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Engineer Dr. Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, explained that the 330 kV Shiroro to Mando Kaduna Line 1 tripped in September, but the patrol team could not reach the spot due to the insecurity in the axis.
The Shiroro Mando 330 kV single circuit transmission line 1 and 2. The line 1 tripped on 9 September 2024. Patrol of the safe area was done, but faulty action could not be reached due to insecurity. Our engineers cannot have access to the transmission line because of insecurity. Efforts were made by using local vigilante who confirmed snap conductor on a tower, but they could not identify the tower number. Arrangements were made to use the local group to escort our engineers in the night to effect repairs in order to evade the bandits in the location. We have done similar thing almost 2 years ago. Unfortunately, we did not succeed this time because the bandits got the wind of our intention and laid siege to the area. Minimum supply was maintained to the northwest corridor through the second circuit until 13th October 2024, when the second line also tripped and failed to stay on trial reclosure. Local vigilantes were again engaged to comb the area, but could only assess part of the safe area. Hence, Transmission Company of Nigeria solicited the support of the Nigerian Air Force for unmanned aerial surveillance on 17th October 2024, and impacted towers were identified. There were 4 towers in number, with 3 of them totally collapsed and 1 number was twisted. In another related development, vandalism of Ogwaji Apir 330 kV line was reported on 21st October 2024, causing tripping of the lines. Trail closure failed and patrol rebuilt damaged conductors due to vandalism. This compounded the transmission of bulk power to the northern corridor, as these lines serve as link between north and southern area. This outage severely affected the wheeling capacity of the Transmission Company of Nigeria.
Engineer Abdulaziz said the vandalized lines are being fixed with the support from security agencies.
The area affected has been secured with the help of Nigerian Army, and concerted efforts is going on one of the lines' restoration. Restoration of one of the lines will allow TCN to wheel about 400 megawatts of power in that corridor. Also, TCN is intensifying efforts to repair and restore the second line on Ogwaji Apir on or by Sunday, 3rd November 2024. This will enable TCN to wield substantial quantum of power through Apir to Jos, to Kaduna, and to Kano. TCN is working with Office of National Security Advisor for security of personnel and site on Shiroro Mando 330 kV single circuit line for commencement of rehabilitation of infected towers in this axis.
The TCN boss called for more support from the public to tackle the menace of power transmission lines vandalism, just as TCN continues on its grid expansion objectives.
For the vandalism, we have been cooperating with owners of the land. That's mean the local people. We have also been cooperating with the security agencies, with civil defense, with the Nigerian police, and with the army to make sure that they patrol our transmission line. We also used to engage locals, even provide them with transportation and phone, so that if they see anything happen in our transmission line, they will quickly call us. So we are working on that. We are doing our best to make sure that all those obsolete equipments are replaced. But it's not possible to do it at once. We need time and we need the money. And as I'm talking to you, we did a lot. We're expanding the grid, we're building new substations, we're building new transmission line, we are reconducting the transmission lines, we are upgrading the transformers. Go and see how many 300 MVA we have in the system. Initially, what we have in Nigeria, the highest transformer we have is 150 MVA. But now, we have 300 in so many stations. So we are doing all our best to make sure that the grid is expanded. What we have done to replace these equipments, we are doing it, and just the way I said, it cannot happen in one day.
In his remarks, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Community Engagement in the Northwest, Abdullahi Tanko Yakasai, pledged the commitment of the presidency in resolving the outage issue.
Mr. President is so worried about it and has been on top of it together with the minister as well as the TCN management. It's not a deliberate effort, and we are part of this effort, and we want to tell our people that whatever is needed to be done to restore power in the north, we'll put all our heads together with the management of TCN, because I believe they have the capacity to restore this power.
During the interactive session, the pressmen had the opportunity to make inquiries and got responses to them accordingly. Shortly after the press briefing, TCN engineers successfully repaired some of the vandalized power transmission lines and restored bulk electricity to states in northern Nigeria. The lines that have been repaired and restored are Ugwaji-Apir 330 kV transmission line 1, which tripped after the conductor snapped recently. With the restoration of this line, the Apir-Lafia 330 kV transmission line 2 is now operational, and bulk power transmission has been restored to Lafia, Makurdi, Jos, Kaduna, Kano, Bauchi and Gombe states. TCN has equally restored the Gombe-Damaturu-Maiduguri 330 kV transmission line that was vandalized in September. The engineers are actively working on restoring Shiroro-Mando 330 kV transmission line to improve bulk power wheeling through Kaduna to more northern states.
In furtherance of the public discourse on the state of vandalism of power infrastructure and the recent incidents of system disturbance, the leadership of the power sector, led by the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, along with the Managing Director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Dr. Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, were at the National Assembly for a public hearing. We'll bring you the details of this.
At the public hearing by the Senate Committee on Power, the Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, explained the remote and immediate cause of the earlier power outages in part of the northern Nigeria to the lawmakers.
We've seen grid collapses in the past. The more often than not, we have experienced grid disturbances. A total collapse is a disturbance too, while a partial collapse is a disturbance. When you have a full grid collapse, the entire system is down, and it affects all national grid electricity consumers. Everybody will feel it. In fact, the grid will need to be restarted using one of the generating plants that will add total collapse. But in most cases, we usually have partial collapse, which will affect a number of transmission lines and the electricity consumers in those regions, while others will still have access to electricity. Those will be trip-offs. There could be partial problems on the grid. Why the consumers are always aware of grid disturbance is when they do not have access to electricity. So I said, globally, every grid once in a while will experience disturbance because these are electrical connections, electrical gadgets. There will be frequency imbalance between generation and consumption. There will be trip-offs of electrical connections. There will be fire outbreak in transformers in some of the substations. And there will be vandalizations. So there are 18,001 reasons.
The chairman of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, Sanusi Garba, also spoke at the hearing.
Consistent with Section 48, subsection 1 of the Electricity Act 2023, we consider the issue of system collapse of significant public interest. So last week on Thursday, we conducted a public hearing in our office. We invited TCN, we invited GENCOs, DISCOs, and external stakeholders to have a conversation on what are the short-term, medium-term, and long-term things that we need to do to stop this, what one of the senators said, a national embarrassment. So I will list some of the key findings from that public hearing because it's clearly more action-oriented than presentations. So issue number one we identified has to do with coordination of the protection systems within the power system. And this is something that can be done between the system operator and TSP. What is happening today is that when you have a fault, instead of localizing the fault within the area where it occurred, it tends to propagate a wider scale. And what TCN needs to do is to go nationwide and make sure that all their protection systems are properly coordinated so that faults are localized. And this we intend to pursue aggressively to make sure it's done as quickly as possible.
The Managing Director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Dr. Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, noted the crucial efforts of the company in stabilizing the national electricity grid.
Power system stability is the ability of an electric power system for a given initial operating condition to regain a state of operating equilibrium after being subjected to a physical disturbance, with most system variables bounded so that practically the entire system remains intact. For a power grid to remain stable, it needs to respond to volatility in voltage and frequency. A power system collapse is the total or partial failure of the electrical grid to function after experiencing disturbance that exceed the grid's stability limits. We want to build more transmission lines so that if there is a problem with one line, we can switch to the other.
Other stakeholders at the public hearing also contributed to the discussion on the action plans and the concerted efforts to tackle power infrastructure vandalism, as well as the other factors leading to frequent grid disturbances.
In view of the ongoing repairs of key transmission lines that have been vandalized, the Transmission Company of Nigeria TCN announces that 65% of repairs on the vandalized 132 kV Ahada to Yenigua transmission line towers have been completed. While 17 towers have been successfully erected, work has progressed on completing the remaining 3. TCN has commenced stringing of conductors, hoisting of insulators and clamping of hardware shortly. Despite the challenging swampy terrain, contractors are working diligently to complete the project ahead and ensuring timely restoration of power supply to Bayelsa State. As part of the rehabilitation and reinforcement of 330, 132 kV power transmission substations and 132, 33 kV substations, the Transmission Company of Nigeria TCN successfully installed and energized a 125 MVA power transformer at the 132, 33 kV Alausa transmission substation in Lagos State.
The project delivered by the Shanghai Electric Group Company Limited is part of an array of power transmission projects being funded by the World Bank for TCN. The General Manager, Transmission at the Lagos region of TCN, Engineer Mojid Akintola, speaks more about the delivery of this project.
TCN, Transmission Company of Nigeria, have been able to commission a new 125 MVA transformer in this substation. Before the upgrading projects, this station capacity was 135 MVA. But with the new 125 MVA, the total capacity of this station now is 230 MVA.
The newly added power transformer is a boost to power consumers who receive electricity supply from Ikeja Electric, the TCN official noted.
This station feeds up to Ojodu, Oregun, Alausa itself, and so many other parts of Ikeja. Ikeja Electricity is a disco that will offtake the load from this station.
And that is not all. There are more capacity improving works being done at the facility with the purchase of key brand new equipment and spare parts by TCN.
If you look at the back, you will see that we have so many new equipments. We are doing a complete rehabilitation in this substation, which is part of the federal government initiative to improve power supply in Nigeria. The people living around this place, in the next couple of hours, we are going to load this transformer because we are going to soak it for 24 hours. After that, we will now give supply to the customer. The World Bank is the sponsor of this project and is monitored by a unit from Transmission Company of Nigeria, which we call Project Monitoring Unit.
Engineer Akintola has a message for Nigerians about efforts of the federal government of Nigeria to improve power supply.
People should have faith in the government that the power supply in Nigeria will improve because we have so many projects in Lagos tailored towards improvements in the country. About 2 weeks ago, we commissioned Maryland, is also 100 MVA, Aja 100 MVA, and we are hoping in a couple of weeks, Lekki, we are coming up with another transformer, Ota, we are coming up with another transformer. So we have so many projects scattered around Lagos with the hope that power will improve in so many areas under our network.
Here are the headlines again. Federal government says it is tackling power infrastructure vandalism, seeks citizen support. Power sector leadership seeks National Assembly's intervention on assets vandalism. Repairs of vandalized 132 kV Ahada Yenegua transmission line nears completion, says TCN. TCN delivers 125 MVA transformer at Alausa Transmission Substation in Lagos. Please continue to do your best in guarding against vandalism of power transmission lines, towers and substations in your locality. The management of TCN is working round the clock to always improve on bulk power evacuation for national development. Keep a date with us next week. I am Amara Agugesi and I'm saying thank you.